smash the like button, and subscribe.
I'm 21. I was born in 2004.
Do you support Trump?
100% I do.
Okay. And if the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
I'm voting for Trump 100%.
Okay. And why do you support Donald Trump?
It's a mixture between his foreign policy and his domestic policy. I like what he's doing with the Iran war. I like what he's doing with the Middle East. I've been following what he's been doing since 2018 when he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and people were saying that there were going to be riots in the streets, and that didn't happen.
But it did
So I
create
don't
worse
know.
off conditions within the Middle East.
No,
Right?
he didn't. You
He
want to know
didn't?
what did create those worse off conditions?
Wait,
What
so
created those?
so you don't think that any of these conditions could have possibly led to October 7th?
And I don't think they did.
You don't think it increased tensions within the Middle East?
No.
No? So you think the
I
Abraham
think
Accords
October
not
7th would have
recognizing a
happened
Palestinian
regardless
state,
of.
and you think
I,
that okay, and you think that
I
the moving of the embassy, right, isn't going to cause more conflict? I think it clearly did. I think history actually demonstrates that. If you just don't want to acknowledge that, we can still go past that and acknowledge that Trump's worse off in terms of foreign policy as a whole. Is that your argument, that he's better for foreign policy?
I would say he's better for foreign policy. I'd say our international partners respect us more.
Ooh,
Europe,
really? Our
especially.
allies? Our allies respect us more?
Well, I mean, look at Europe, for example. They're drowning in energy debt because of Russia, and they're asking us to give them oil because they can't buy Russian oil because of the sanctions, because of the war going on in the Ukraine.
Well, we actually just will, because that's how market operations work. If it's more expensive in a certain area, companies in the United States are going to produce and sell to those areas because they're going to make more profit from doing so. So actually, what you've
Exactly.
just created is worse off conditions, not only for us here in America, but for our allies as well. You've destabilized our relationships with our allies, not only just within that respect, but also through the context of the tariffs, arguing to literally take Greenland, the dissolution of NATO, right? You've completely lost the respect of plenty of
We
our
should
European
take
allies
Greenland.
around the entire world, which has led to worse off conditions in terms of our allyships, in terms of how much we're respected. So what actual
Nor,
meaningful evidence, empirically speaking, do you have to demonstrate that Donald Trump is more respected? Because I would say all evidence indicates otherwise.
well, I mean, I think we should be taking Greenland anyway. Norway's not doing nothing with it, and if Russia's going to be taking it in the next few years, then I mean, what's so funny?
You think Norway has Greenland?
Yeah, they do,
No, they don't.
along with the
Natalie, think of the
Falkland
galaxy.
Islands.
You're trying to think Denmark.
No, it's Norway. Norway
It's
owns
Denmark.
Greenland along with the Falkland Islands.
It's Denmark.
Denmark.
Yes, it is Denmark.
You talking about the country that with the capital of Copenhagen?
Yes.
Hold on. Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, you can. Go for it. That's Denmark.
All right. Turns out you are correct.
And the people who live in Greenland are happy under this particular setup.
Says
They have
who?
lots
The,
of better
the, the
conditions through that
president of
context.
Denmark?
Well, the people who are living there, none of them want to be bought by the U.S. There's no good evidence that they want to be bought by the U.S. or that they don't want the U.S. to come take over. Secondly, we can obviously establish military security, right, through the context of NATO, such as we already have set up. So there's nothing that we get in terms of more military security in that area by literally annexing Greenland rather than just having them as a NATO member, a NATO ally, which, by the way, is at a greater risk because Donald Trump is risking our relationships with NATO in the first place.
Well, NATO ain't really much to begin with because I mean all these countries are supposed to be paying a certain percentage into NATO. Not a single one of them does, except for like maybe Poland,
They
which
actually do.
Poland is
They actually mostly do
really
pay over
really.
2%. Yeah.
Spain definitely doesn't.
So I would have to see if Spain does, but most of the NATO allies actually pay above 2% now, and that was actually mainly because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So independent of Trump.
Well, I miss not to go back on an old topic, but just to real quick, I misspoke earlier. I didn't mean the Falklands. I meant the I forget what it's called, them islands in Denmark. But anyway, I digress. All right. Well, foreign policy. How do you feel about the Iran war? Because I mean, obviously, we're doing great things with that, controlling the inflow of oil outside of the Strait of Hormuz with our blockade, and
We're not controlling
we
it.
took out.
Because the
Yeah,
thing
we
is,
are.
they don't even have to control it. All they have to do is make it too scary to go through, from an insurance standpoint, too monetarily expensive to go through from a financial standpoint, in order to be able to have control over it, leverage over it, that is going to cause gas prices to go up around the world. And it doesn't necessarily directly impact us because we don't get most of our oil from the Strait of Hormuz, but it affects the global prices, which inevitably lead to suppliers in the United States sending their produced oil to other countries around the world, which then reduces the available supply to consumers here in the United States, therefore increasing prices here in the United States, which is what we've seen. Now, in terms of doing this, you would say, what have we actually got as a benefit from this? Absolutely nothing. We had more met under the context of the JCPOA. So there is actually no real reason to go to war with them in this context.
Hold on,
because we already established through the
Obama
JCPOA in prior peaceful negotiations, right?
Isn't that Obama deal that would have
the
given
limit
them a
of the
nuclear
enrichment
bomb?
of uranium. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, but you're mentioning like the JCPOA. I think you said that's that Obama deal that would have given them a nuclear weapon, right?
No, it kept them below 3.7% enriched uranium. We had unprecedented levels of surveillance over their nuclear enrichment facilities, and right now they're at 60% enriched uranium because of the fact that Trump pulled out of the JCPOA.
Well, you say they're at 60% right now,
Yes.
but 10 years ago, under the Joint Comprehensive Whatever Plan, they would have had 6.7 or whatever you said percentage.
No, they had 3.7.
Yeah,
3.67 actually.
3.67. All
Yeah.
right. Well, how would they go from 3% to 60% in just a decade? I mean, that doesn't really,
Because Trump
from
pulled
what I
out of
know-
the agreement, and because they have the capacity to, because this information that they need in order to enrich the uranium isn't out of their grasps. It's within their grasps. This just particular surveillance allowed for us to limit them from even enriching the uranium to that degree in the first place.
All right. Well, how do you feel about the Kurdistans and the Kurdistans who were going to be going in, but we sent them the weapons, but they decided not to go in for some reason because they're just a bunch of pansies who can't really fight. I mean, they've been fighting Turkey and losing.
Well,
to
you know that
Turkey.
the
They're
U.S.
against our
literally
allies.
under Trump's rule actually literally abandoned our Kurdish allies. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
we
that's
should.
probably actually the reason why. Again, another example how Trump actually destabilized our relationships with countries all around the world after they helped us fight.
Well, I mean, think about this. Turkey is one of our friends. They're a NATO member. Turkey has a lot of issues with the Kurdistans. They don't want them to like form an independent nation because of all the extremist attacks that happen, due to Kurdish people inside of Turkey. And like, I think like if those people are attacking our allies, we shouldn't really be helping them out unless it's to like say.
Then
go
why are you
after-
giving them weapons?
Well, that's
You
where
just
I'm getting
contradicted
to.
yourself.
But you didn't let me finish. That's where I'm getting to. Did you hear me say unless they're going after a common enemy such as Iran, where we could send those weapons through and have them controlled in a way where we can take control
How'd
of that
that work?
group and basically make it function as a proxy of our own.
How did that work?
How did that work? By funneling weapons in, we let
It didn't
some
work.
people. Well, because they just decided they scammed us. They said scammer
Okay,
gets
so then
scammed.
that didn't work. Okay, so if his whole plan here didn't work, and we've involved ourselves militarily speaking, it's not led to better conditions. Why do you still agree with it? All evidence, not only right now but historically speaking, indicates that our U.S. military intervention in the Middle East has led to worse off conditions, not better.
Let me ask you something, Parker. How many abortions have you got?
You're trolling.
I'm not trolling.